here, and I thought for today's video to show you some more techniques from Dr. Chan's total recall system. I thought I'd do something a bit different because the other day I was actually watching the episode where the man won £1 million on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and I was sort of waiting in bated breath when Jeremy Clarkson asked him, how do you remember all that information? So I was sort of waiting thinking you're going to say his memory tricks, but he didn't. He just said that he's remembered them from young. Am I convinced that he's remembered all that information? Not really, because I think he must have had a technique, because most quizzes do use the type of memory techniques that Dr. Chan demonstrates in his book. So I thought for a bit of fun today, I'd show you how to memorise facts, because the winning question, for those of you who perhaps have missed it, and for those of you who didn't, it was a pirate question, and it just so happened that the man who won it actually had taught piracy in history. So there's the actual question. I don't know if you can see that. I'll read it out. It was in 1718, which pirate died in battle off the coast of what is now known as North Carolina? And it was between Calico Jack, Blackbeard, Bartholomew Roberts and Captain Kidd. Okay, so a bit of fun. I actually printed off 5 famous pirates. The only one that's not on this, Captain Kidd, because he would have been something like about number 10. I didn't want to make this video too lengthy. So I'll just go through 5 famous pirates, because if you store the information with the technique I'm going to show you now, you'd be very quickly able, if you were in that hot seat then, to deduct which one of these ones you would need to know, because you would have placed all this information into different rooms. So let me elaborate a bit more. The 5 we're going to cover today for this exercise is Anne Bonny, yes, she was actually a woman pirate, Bartholomew Roberts, Benjamin Hornigold, Blackbeard and Calico Jack. Okay, and I'm just going to show you a few facts that we could learn about them, just for ease of sort of keeping your interest, because I don't want to go into too much depth, but you'll get the sort of gist of it, and then you can just keep adding layer after layer then if you want to. So for those of you who've watched my videos before, and for those of you who haven't, I really strongly urge you to check the other ones as well. But basically, this method I'm going to show you is whereby we store imaginary facts into different rooms within the house. And every time we want to recall, like if I had this pirate question, if I was doing it for £1 million, I would know then I'd be able to go through different rooms and extract different facts that I've stored imaginary in that room to actually decipher which answer I want. Okay, so I'm going to actually use the upstairs of my house, and I'm going to start off in the study. And the first name we need to memorise is Anne Bonny. And I'm going to remember that by Anne Widdecombe, the MP, because I don't know if any of you have seen her on Celebrity Big Brother. She was sat there by a dressing table trying to curl her hair, and she kept missing her hair each time, and it just made me laugh. So I'm going to put Anne Widdecombe by a dressing table in the study, trying to curl her hair to look bonny. Okay, bonny is pretty. So, and those of you who know Anne Widdecombe know that she's anything other than vain. So for her to try and make herself pretty, that's why I'm going to remember it. So Anne Bonny is going to be in the study, and it's going to be Anne Widdecombe curling her hair. That's what's going to make me remember it. The other thing we need to remember, I'm going to learn a date of birth or a year of birth for each of these 5 pirates, and just one fact, just to demonstrate, okay? So Anne Bonny was born in 1697. All of these, to make it easy, they were all born 1600s, okay? So we've only got to remember the last 2 numbers. So Anne Bonny was born in 1697, so that's the first fact we're going to store in our head, and we're going to do it like this. We're going to have Anne Bonny, she's doing her hair, and she glances down at a photograph on the dressing table. On the photograph, there's a 16-year-old woman marrying a 97-year-old man. Okay, do you think you can remember that fact? I mean, there's not many 16-year-olds with you'd see marrying a 97-year-old man. Okay, so we got Anne Widdecombe, who's going to be trying to look bonny, so that's Anne Bonny. We're going to have her looking down at a photograph. We know it's the 1600s, so she's going to be, it's going to be 97 that they're born, because we're thinking of a 16-year-old man marrying a 97-year-old. And the next bit the fact that we're going to remember about this pirate was the fact that she was having a secret affair with another popular pirate of the time, and that was Calico Jack. Now, to remember the Calico, we can have Anne Widdecombe closing her eyes, and she's dreaming that she's getting married to Jack Nicholson, the actor. So no surprise there, there is our Jack. Now, the calico bit, we're going to remember by her putting a calico, which is a sort of material, veil, and draping herself around her, and then she's going to be imagining herself marrying Jack Nicholson. So that's how we're going to get those facts. That's in the study. Then we go to room 1, which happens to be my bedroom, and we're going to try and remember Bartholomew Roberts. So I'm going to remember Bartholomew Roberts by thinking of Bart Simpson in The Simpsons. That's the Bart, Bartholomew. And he's going to be swooning as he's looking at a photograph of Julia Roberts. So that's the Bart and the Roberts, okay? Now the fact that he was actually born in 1682. So the way we're going to remember this, remember I said we know it's the 1600s, we just need to remember the 8 and the 2. The way we're going to do this is in a way that I've explained on other videos, which is trying to put an image to numbers to make numbers easier to remember. So in this case, because we're looking for an 8 and a 2, I'm going to have a sign on the door with a snowman, which looks like an 8. So it's a snowman, and it's going to have a swan draped around his neck like a scarf, which is like a swan. Okay? So that's the number 2. So we're going to remember the 8 and the 2 by a snowman draped with the shape of a 2, which is a swan over his head, and that's how we remember that he was born in 1682. And the fact that we're going to remember from this one, for Bartholomew Roberts, was the fact that he at one time burnt a ship with 80 slaves on it, which I know is a cruel fact to remember. But the way that I'm going to remember it is like walk into that room, it's full of smoke, and there's a picture of a ship that's on fire. Okay, so that's the ship on fire. And Bart Simpson is there actually rescuing slaves out of the picture. They're stepping into the room, okay? Remember, I've always said the more out there the image, the more likely you're going to remember it. So this one is, remember, is the snowman and the swan on the door. Then we walk in a smoke-filled picture is a set alight with a ship on it, and Bart Simpson is actually rescuing slaves out of the picture, and they go into the room. Then we go into bedroom number 2, and that's going to be to remember Benjamin Hornigold. Now for this one, we don't know when he was born, so we're just going to deal with that in a moment. But first of all, for the Benjamin bit, I'm going to remember it by Benjamin Button, the film. If you can remember, Brad Pitt was in there, and it's where he actually regresses in life and he goes back to teenage, I believe. I've never watched the film, but I've heard of it. So I'm going to go into the bedroom, and I'm going to see Brad Pitt in a baby's crib, and he's going to be half man and half baby, and he's going to be wearing a baby grow with a big question mark, and that question mark is to show me that we don't know exactly when he was born. It's going to be late 1600s based on the fact he was around when the other pirates were around, but we don't know the exact date. So let's put a big question mark on his baby grow so that we know then that we don't know when he was born. And the fact that we're going to have on that one is that he was famous for having an apprentice, another famous pirate as his apprentice, which was Blackbeard. Okay, so for Blackbeard, I'm going to have Lord Sugar walking into the room. No surprise there, he was the host of The Apprentice. So that's to prompt us to remember The Apprentice. So it's Lord Sugar, and he's going to be walking my white cockapoo dog, who's got a bushy black beard. So that's going to remind us that The Apprentice was Blackbeard. You follow me so far? Hope it makes sense. Then we go on to Blackbeard, and that's going to be, I'm going to walk out into the hall of upstairs, and Blackbeard, surprisingly or not, is going to be my white cockapoo who's lying on the floor, but he's got a black bushy beard. And he's got some headphones on, and he's listening to 80s music, okay, because there's an 80s CD disc at the side, and it's 80s music. And that's going to prompt us to remember that he was born in 1680. So Blackbeard is born in 1680, because Yola, my cockapoo, is listening to 80s music. But as a twist, he's going to take his headphones off, and we're going to have Sweet Caroline fill in the house, the music by Neil Diamond, Sweet Caroline. Now what do you think that's going to prompt us to think of? North Carolina, because that's where he died. Okay? And then the last one we're going to have then is going to be in the last bedroom down the bottom, and that's going to be Calico Jack. Now for this one we're going to remember it because there's going to be a calico cat on the windowsill. Now I didn't know, I'd never heard of a calico cat, maybe you have, but when I looked it up, it's a tricolour. It's got 3 different colours, and that's what makes it distinctive as the calico cat. And he is going to be drinking from some milk from an empty bottle of a Jack Daniels bottle. So that's the Calico Cat Jack. So I'm sure you get that drift of that one. Now he was born in 1682. So again, we remember the 1600s because they were all from the 1600s. The 8 and the 2, we're not going to use a snowman again because we want it to be different from the other rooms so we remember it. So the other thing that looks like an 8 is an hourglass. Okay, you know the ones with the sand and you turn them over. So there's a big hourglass, which is the shape of the 8, and it's balancing on a shoe. And if you've watched my other videos, you'll find that the other way I remember numbers is by number rhymes. So there's an enormous shoe and the hourglass is actually balancing on that. So that gives us a 1682. So that's that ticked. And then he died, he was actually hung. And the place he was hung was Royal Port, which was in Jamaica. Okay, so we'll remember that. Royal bit, I'm going to link to Prince William. He's going to be sat by the side of the hourglass, drinking an expensive glass of port, which is mixed with, guess what? Jamaican rum. So there we go, the Jamaica bit. Okay, so let me quickly go through. Let me just show you, I'm turning that over, and I'm going to tell you these facts now. I'm going to go through this. So we're going to do a quick recap, because I know this video is going on a bit longer than I normally do, but I think it's just really important to show you how these top quizzes acquire the knowledge they do, but more importantly, how they store into virtual storage files in their head that they can just extract just by thinking of a room or a journey or lots of other methods. Okay, so let's go from the top. I'm just going to recite who they are just based on the images. Anne Bonny, 1697 she was born, and she actually was a secret lover of Calico Jack. Then I go into the bedroom that's on that side, and then on the door is, remember we had the, let me think, the 82, wasn't it? Because we had the snowman and the swan. So he was born in 1682. And he was, well, not famous, I don't like to say famous, but he actually burnt a ship with 80 slaves on it, which is a bit nasty, I know, but that's a fact about him. Then the next room over then, remember we've got Brad Pitt, and we don't know when Benjamin, the pirate is actually Benjamin Hornigold. Oh, and I forgot to put a fact in there actually, the Hornigold bit, so that's good that I'm recapping it. So we've got Brad Pitt in the cot, and he's got a question mark on his baby grow, so we don't know when he was born. But we actually know he's a baby because he's actually sucking a dummy that's made from a gold horn, Hornigold, okay? So that's how we remember the Hornigold bit. So it's Benjamin Hornigold. We don't know when he was born. But can you remember what fact we said about Benjamin Hornigold? With Benjamin, I got to prompt myself on this one, so it doesn't always stick, so I haven't got a good enough. Oh, that's right, we've got loads of sugar coming in. So you've got to make sure that you've got if you forget something, this is why I've done it off the cuff, because you won't always remember every single fact. If you don't remember it, you need to keep going over and make it more of an image you remember. So I don't know, maybe I'd have to have loads of sugar going in with pink hair or something like that, something that's going to prompt me, or going in cross or saying you're fired. Something needs to be more distinctive for me to remember that. But basically his famous apprentice was, can you remember? Blackbeard, because it was my cockapoo with a big black beard. Which prompts us then to the next fact, which is Blackbeard, funny enough. And can you remember when he was born? He was born in 1680, because he's listening to 80s music. And out from the music blasts Sweet Caroline. So that means, it prompts me that he died in North Carolina. And finally we got Calico Jack, who's on the bottom bedroom, and he was born in 82, remember, because he was actually an hourglass balancing on a shoe, and he died, he was hung in Royal, Prince William, Port, and then it was actually Jamaica, because remember it was Jamaican rum. Okay, and that's basically how I remember those facts. So based on what we've just learned there, I'm sorry we didn't have Captain Kidd in that one, but it gives you a rough idea because the answer is there. So when we now look at, in 1718, which pirate died in the battle off the coast of what is now North Carolina? Who was it? It was my cockapoo dog with North Carolina. So it actually turns out that it was Blackbeard. Okay, now just for those of you who might be interested, I just looked up what Captain Kidd died of. Written it down here somewhere, in case you want to know how the others died. Calico Jack, we know, died in Port Royal. We know that Blackbeard died in Battle, North Carolina. And the other two actually were hung. Bart was hung in Cape Lopez in Africa, and Kidd was actually executed in London. Okay, so that's basically wraps up today how I've used Dr. Chan's sort of memory style to actually memorise a question or facts for a question that would provide him with the answer for £1 million on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. So I hope you enjoyed this video. So sorry it went on a bit long, but I just find these things fascinating. As ever, if you're interested in learning more about these memory techniques, either for yourself or to help your children with revision, because you can use these memory chips for anything, again, I highly recommend the book Dr. Chan's GCSE Total Recall System. Ignore the title because it's not just for GCSE, you can use it for all manner of things. And I've adapted some of the memory tricks that he's done there. He does them slightly differently to me. And he also covers other memory tricks like the alphabet one, story sequential linking. There's lots of other facts as well, but it makes information, I'm sure you'd agree, a lot easier. Comes with a 30-day free money back, no quibble guarantee. I'll pop the link at the bottom. One thing I want to be transparent about is if you click my link, there is a chance I could get paid an affiliate commission, but rest assured it won't cost you any more whatsoever. It'll still be the same price to you. Alright, so that's it for today. Sorry this was gone on a bit, but I was a bit excited when I saw that millionaire question the other day, and I thought, how could I actually show my subscribers now how to learn a £1 million answer question for Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Speak to you again soon. Bye for now.